Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a while, there's not been a video for quite a few weeks now, and I apologise for that, as you have seen from the thumbnail. And there's a new project bike. So what have I got? Well, I've got a Ducati 959 Panigale, I believe it's a course, that belongs to a friend of mine. Now, as you'll have seen from the thumbnail, there's lots of bits. So, also this is the engine, not working, not 100% sure what's wrong with it, but let's give a bit of a backstory to what's happened with the bike. A good friend of mine, he got into riding his track bikes, doing track days, etc. And ended up buying, he had a few different bikes, went up and bought the 959 X race bike. I think it was raced in Ducati series. Now he wasn't very good at staying on the bikes, was well known for falling off of them, and he took the Ducati out. I believe it was his first time out on it. Went out in one of the sessions, came into a corner. He didn't exactly know what happened, but he came off the bike, injured himself quite badly. The next day they put some new grips and bits and bobs on it, sorry, levers and stuff on it, to see, just to get it going again. Started it up and it sounded terrible. It went to a bike shop. The bike shop had a look over it. Now they think it's dropped a valve, or they said it's dropped a valve, which is probably what's caused him to come off the bike. They actually think they probably locked the bike up a bit, and that's what threw him off of it. So the bike shop had it. They stripped it all down to get to the engine. My friend said that he told him to get on with it. I don't know what's happened, but it said the bike's ended up being there for about 18 months in total. When I was doing Old Yeller, he kept saying to me, "Are you going to do my Ducati afterwards?" And after he persisted and kept going on, I thought, well, it might make good content for the channel. So I agreed to it. So the other week, I went to pick the bike up from the bike mechanic who'd got it. Very professional place. They'd got an engine building bay, they got a dyno, they got all the stuff there. Quite why this hadn't been done, I don't know. But anyway, I said, I've come to pick up the Ducati. Yep, no problem. So I was expecting the engine to be out of the bike and just maybe a rolling frame. So I set the bike ramp up into the back of the van, and he wheeled this out. This was the first piece that came out. So then after that, I realised that I probably wasn't going to need the ramp. And then he just kept bringing boxes and boxes of bits out, as you would have seen in the thumbnail. And yeah, it wasn't quite what I was expecting. So the bike is fully stripped. I have no idea where any of the bolts go. I have no idea how the bike came apart. I have no idea if all the parts are still here. So really, if I'd have known this from the outset, would I have agreed to it? Well, I don't know. Possibly. Possibly not. I don't know. But I hadn't done my research beforehand and realised that to take the engine out of it, the actual frame is the engine. So, you know, the front end bolts onto it, then the swing arm bolts onto it. It's all kind of built around it. So, yeah, anyway. So, there's an issue with the engine, which we've got to take the bike apart for. The engine apart for. We'll go into that again in a minute. Let's just go to the picture of it laid out in the garden. As you can see, there's lots and lots of bits there. Hopefully we've got all the parts. You can see everything laid out there. It's got, and, you know, as far as I'm aware, everything's there. All the plastics are there, all the ECUs are there, the rest of the wiring loom and stuff's there. There's a lot of parts. I don't know where they go. So, yeah, and a bit more about the bike. So, I've been told that because it was an X-race bike, it's got, do they call it a reverse gearbox? I think it's called a reverse gearbox. So, you go up into first gear and then down for the rest of the gears, rather than coming the correct way of doing it. There's also some other bits and bobs on this engine. But let's have a look at the front end first. Let's just get you off of there. So on the front end here, you can see these switches. So, and I'm sure some of you will know a bit. Let's get a better shot of this. I'm sure some of you out there will know more about this than I do. I'm not massively into my Ducatis or my sports bikes. So we've got all the different modes and stuff on here. I've been told that changes the modes and obviously the mapping settings. So obviously there's a bit of damage to the carbon. I think that's carbon fibre. Proper race tyres on. I think that's aftermarket on there. If it's a course, it's got Öhlins. Now I don't know if it's just Öhlins rear shock, because it has got an Öhlins rear shock. But it's got a lithium ion battery. It's got that. Oh, the Aquaprovic exhaust. It's got the Aqua exhaust. So it's got all those parts. We've got to start getting into what is wrong with the engine. So obviously now I'm going to be a proper Ducati mechanic. So I have bought the t-shirt. This obviously makes me a bit more qualified. When I was looking for a manual for the Ducati, this is what we got. Somebody kindly printed it off for me. Look, Ducati does. So I will now be known as Ducati does. If you can see that. And when I looked at this online, nearly 1,300 pages for the manual. Both sides printed. But that shows me everything. That hopefully is going to show me how to put the bike back together. But yeah, so we'll start flicking through these 1,300 pages of it to see if we can start stripping this down. So we believe it's top end issue. So what I want to do to start with is I want to get these heads off. Get the rocker covers off. Going to get the heads off. Doing this engine is massively out of my depth. I've done a couple of engine builds before, but nothing like this. Definitely not on a Ducati race bike. So there's the potential there for me to absolutely screw this up and make a complete dog's dinner of it. It's not like they're notoriously easy to work on, is it? They're quite difficult to work on. So it could all go terribly wrong. We could get it started up and it blows up. That's if it starts. What we'll do now, we'll start reading through this. We'll start getting into this and see if we can find out what's wrong with it. So it's now time to start stripping the engine. Got the cam covers off, turned it over a few times, and started taking the clutch cover off and the rather large cover that covers all the timing chains on the side of the engine. I'm just turning it over by hand, just trying to see how it all works, how the timing's marked up, reading the manual, just trying to get my head around it a bit, and then start taking the timing chain out. So once everything's all lined up, get all the pulleys loose, get the cam chain tensioner out, and hopefully just start working my way through, undoing the bolts from the head, and eventually we'll get the head off. That's the cylinder head off, as you saw. Now, nothing jumped straight out, but we look down here, there's some markings in the top of the piston. So obviously this here is the piston. It looks as though the valves have been hitting the piston is that what's been... Is that what the issue is? The exhaust side looks alright. That doesn't look great. I mean, obviously it's only just been touching it. Put it back on here. Now on the underside of the, let's have a look. On the underside of the cylinder head, there's not really any markings on the. There's not really any markings on the any of the valves. Now you can turn that over. All seems to be going alright. Now it was only jamming the engine up every now and again. It wasn't doing it all the time. So is that the issue? And they did have it running. I think what I'm going to do is, while I'm here, I'm going to take the other side apart as well. And see what that shows. So there we go. That's this side off. Both sides are off now. So let's bring you in. Let's have a quick look. So on this side, we've got no marks. Oh, there's a slight little mark there. But not as it is on the other side. See there, on this side, let's see if we can shine a bit of light on there as well. Without reflecting too much. You can see, definitely looks as if that piston has been hitting the valves. So, I'm not there. So very strange. This engine's definitely been apart before. See the timing marks. Is it showing? So the mark there and the mark there. When you time the engine up, that's supposed to be flush across the top. Neither of them did that. So somebody's taken it apart and then not had the chains off and not lined that back up so you can time it up properly. I don't quite know why this would be hitting the valves, because when you line these up, which they were, unless the timing's out on the chain slightly. Oh, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud there. So, yeah, was it not timed up properly? Like I say, my friend bought it. I think it was his first outing on it, so had the engine been apart before he bought it, not put back together quite right, was the timing slightly out, you know, a tooth, which could have caused it to hit the valve. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to have to look into it a bit more now. I've got it stripped down that far. The whole thing turns over freely, so I don't think it's anything in the bottom end. So I'll do some investigating. Mine's going now, trying to think of things. But anyway, I'm going to call it quits for this video. If you want to see where we go with this, do I actually get it back together? Do we get the engine sorted out, let alone the rest of the pile of bits turned into a bike again? If you want to watch that, please, if you're not already, please subscribe and click the bell notification. Give us a thumbs up and a comment below. Do you think I'm going to get this put back together and running again? Let me know what you think, and if you've got any thoughts onto what could be wrong with this, you know, drop some comments. And until next time, guys, we'll see you soon. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.